Hey, good morning everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report for April 14th, 2016. I'm Frank Ochoa with a look at the ES and a daily time frame here. One thing we talked about before is how this narrow range right here was too narrow to conduct business. It was good enough for a couple of weeks here, but now you're seeing that the market's going to start taking out the edges on both sides and widening that range out, at least until proven otherwise. And right now, prices went bid through 2061s and held. And is now holding near highs in overnight trading. I mentioned the previous evening here that if prices pull back toward 2061, it could be a buying opportunity for a stretch higher, perhaps into 2091s or even higher. What we're looking for is some sort of top up here that could open up a swing push back, at which point we'll then begin to establish a larger range. Overall, price continues to trend higher, so pullbacks still remain a buying opportunity until prices give up 2009 or perhaps 2000, but right now we're near the edge of the range. We reached our 2077s for all intents and purposes right there, which was the top of the August range. And now we have to see how prices respond above that zone. Generally speaking, every time prices have gotten above the 2077s, 2100, in that zone between that area, we've seen rejections and we've seen the market turn down. So we'll see how this thing continues to play out. But we're right here trading on the other side of the HVN. The expectation would be that prices push higher until it finds a little bit of rejection and comes back down and trades around this HVN as we mentioned before. All right, taking a look at the intraday time frame. Remember, I mentioned 2061 is important, and price pushed through that level, went bid through it, and never came back to it, leaving behind a very clear LVN here on the 5-day profile. Again, if prices push into 2061, it could be an area for bulls to defend between 61 and 64.5. Remember our previous session's high price, our previous month's high price. Very important zone right there to defend for a shot at squeezing higher into 2091. Failure to hold above 61s opens up a rotation back toward 5-day VPOC at 2047.5, followed by a retest of lows at 2034s. All right, let's take a look at crude oil. Here's crude. We got to push into resistance here, 42.49. That's very important. And then we started to pull back off that area I mentioned before. This is a very important area of resistance here. And if prices cannot see acceptance above 42.49, we could see a return right back to 38.86. Overall, we've seen a nice recovery here in crude oil. So a pullback could be a buying opportunity for a push through 42.50 at some point. It could be soon. But once prices get above 42.50, you have to watch them closely, because if there is no acceptance above that zone, again, the rotation back downward is on. Looking at the intraday time frame, you can see so far pullbacks below 4100 have been defended. Very important here. And then now we're already trading back toward 4200. You also see that prices have formed a clear range near highs here between 4100 and 4250. Nice clear range. We could see further development in that range until expansion occurs, but right now fading the edges seems appropriate until proven otherwise. So far, as long as prices remain above 4100, we should be looking for a test near 4250. Any push beyond that area could be an opportunity to fade it back down toward 4100, at least short term. All right, taking a look at gold now. We talked about gold before and how prices have been trading right near the middle of the range here. We were looking for a push into the zone between 65.60 and 70.75s basically for a rotation back down. That area was front run just a little bit, and then we've seen a push downward. And yesterday I mentioned we're right at the center of this range. There's no real edge there. No real edge to speak of. The edge is at the extremes of the range, and right now at the center it can be chopped back and forth as we've already seen. So right now, not a whole lot to do in gold other than to wait for price to trade to an edge. Otherwise, right now, short term, you do see a little bit more upside momentum here. But again, no real edge in gold to really trade by at the moment. All right, let's take a look at the NQ. Here's the NQ in a daily time frame. One thing we saw was a push in the opposite direction of the range, a failure to hold below the bottom of that range, and then a snapback in the opposite direction. We knew that could be the case. As I mentioned before, the first breakout could be a false move, and you could slingshot in the opposite way, and that's what we've seen as the market continues to expand that range. Again, if the market's going to want to trade up here, it can't really do it in this tiny range. It has to expand the boundaries and create a larger basis for trading. So right here, this move up implies that we could find that high. 45.89 is the 100% expansion target for the week, and you also have 4,600 above. So that could be a nice little zone right there to play toward, followed by the potential to see a move in the opposite direction as this thing widens out. So short term, a little bit more strength here, but watch out should prices reach 45.89 to 4,600, as we could see a short-term rotation back down from those levels. On an intraday basis, you can see here we have a nice clear range that is formed on highs right at the previous week's high. So this range is 45.22 half up to 45.53s. That's a nice clear trading range here that is formed right on this high. So again, if prices cannot see acceptance above this high, all of those late longs could get rotated right back down to the bottom of value on a 5-day basis. And that's going to be back toward those 44, 46s. So this is going to be important. If these bulls right here defending above 45.20 do not get paid, the stops come out and the rotation comes in. But as of right now, pullbacks into this LVN are still going to be defended for a shot at seeing further strength toward those 4600s. All right, that's it for now. Let's see how this thing plays out the rest of the session. Good luck and trade well.